My question to Bella is, what happened to going into mama bear mode? You know what you're doing is wrong, you know the dangers, yet you keep doing it anyway. Imagine having it all figured out before you even hit your 30s. Money, fame, a picture-perfect relationship that hundreds of thousands of people online are obsessed with. You're set for life. You've built this empire off your love story, your lifestyle, and a few questionable business choices. But even if it all ended tomorrow, you would be okay. So you would think in this day and age, with everything that we know about the dangers of putting kids online, that when that time comes to have children, that you would never cross that line. You would think, because at this point, we all know children shouldn't be content. Their lives shouldn't be storylines. And I know that there are some who argue, well, maybe that's the only way that these parents can make money. Without the vlogs, without this money coming in, the kids would go hungry. They wouldn't have what they have today. And that's a whole separate conversation, and honestly, maybe even its own video. But that's not what's happening here, because this couple, they were already well off, already established, already cashing massive checks long before the baby ever entered the picture. In fact, the mom was a multi-millionaire before she even received her high school diploma. And yet, this couple chooses to go down one of the darkest, most heartbreaking paths online, child exploitation. Because for them, even a lifetime's worth of wealth, it wasn't enough. And to make it worse, they didn't just show baby updates or cute family pictures. No, they turned their daughter's adoption, something deeply personal and sacred, into content. A story that should have belonged to her one day, not them. But when you have parents like this, your story isn't really yours anymore. Your identity, your milestones, your pain, your joy, it becomes their property. You're no longer a child to protect, you're a brand to grow. And if you haven't already guessed who we are going to be talking about today, it is Della Vlogs and the couple behind the channel, Bella and Dallin Lambert. A pair who somehow continues to get away with making incredibly questionable choices when it comes to their child. And look, I get it. I've had people comment, oh, Bella just really wanted a baby. She just is excited to be a mom. That's why she's sharing so much. I mean, I'm not for child exploitation or anything. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with most of them, but I think you have it wrong with them. Real comments, guys. But anyway, here's the thing. Being excited to become a parent, it does not give you the permission to exploit the very same child that you wanted so desperately. So give me the next hour or however long this video ends up being. I'll put the time right here, because by the end of this video, I'm hoping that I can show you why excitement isn't an excuse for exploitation. So let's get into it. So to understand where things stand today with Della Vlogs, what is Della Vlogs, what looks to be this picture perfect, family channel, we need to go back, way, way back. Because before there was their daughter, who I will be referring to as S in this video, before there was her, before there was even Bella's husband, Dallin, there was just Bella. And Bella is the founder of Origami Owl. Basically, when she was 14 years old, she started making custom lockets and decided to turn it into a business.
When I was 14, I went to my parents and I asked them, I was like, hey, I don't have enough money. Do you think you could buy me a car when I turn 16? And they said, no way. And so I was like, okay, well, how am I going to earn the money? And they said, oh, you could babysit or maybe start a business or something. And I was like, start a business.
Long story short, after borrowing some money from a family member, she started selling her creations locally, then moved to a mall kiosk, and eventually she built what became a full-blown MLM that is known as Origami Owl. But this wasn't just your average MLM. Instead of recruiting adults, kids were the ones who were signing up through their parents.
We want you to have the same opportunity that Bella did when she was 14 years old, and that's why you can be part of this Origami Owl business.
Any 14-year-old can go out and get a little job somewhere or whatever, but Origami Owl allows them to be creative and interact with people and hear what their stories are and relate to their stories.
We can't wait for you to be a part of the Origami Owl family.
So it was literal children who were participating in this MLM. Bella was technically a minor herself when she started this, so no blame to her when she started this, but that all of the adults surrounding her, who I'm sure were helping her make decisions, thought that it would be an okay idea is kind of wild to think about. But here's the thing. I knew going into this video that Bella and Dallin were very well off, but I didn't realize just how well off that they are and how well off that Bella has been for a very, very long time. So get this, she started the business back in 2010 at just 14 years old, and by 2013, Origami Owl was valued at $250 million, meaning that by 17, Bella was a multi-millionaire. It's absolutely wild, and it would be pretty impressive if it wasn't an MLM that we were talking about. But it's that massive wealth that she has and has had for so long make people that much more frustrated with her regarding her current today content. It's so unnecessary what she's doing, and we're going to get into all that, but you're going to see why, because she has been loaded for a very, very long time. But eventually, Origami Owl became a part of a larger company called Thank Goodness in 2023, though I was seeing mixed results as to whether or not Origami Owl is still under the Thank Goodness company. Either way, it does still seem to be around, but Bella doesn't seem to be as involved as she once was, and it doesn't seem to be operating under the MLM structure anymore. So that's a good thing. But it's her mother, Christian, who goes by Chrissy, who is the now CEO of Origami Owl. And speaking of Chrissy, there is some recent drama between her and Bella, it would appear, but we're going to get into that later. For now, let's just talk about Chrissy. You know, usually we don't talk about the grandmothers in these sort of situations, but this time I think we need to. So Chrissy has a bit of a record, to say the least. The kind of record that probably shouldn't belong to someone overseeing anything involving children, which make her previous role at Origami Owl all the more alarming back when it did operate as an MLM with children. Trigger warning for this part, but back in 2004, Chrissy left her infant son in a hot car for 2 hours in Arizona, where temperatures easily skyrocket. The internal temperature of that car reached 144 degrees, and somehow the baby did survive. Chrissy was arrested but never charged. And I'm sorry, but I genuinely do not understand how that happens, especially in Arizona, where I would think that's talked about quite a bit. Not to mention, it's your baby. How do you go 2 hours, 2 whole hours, without realizing that your baby isn't with you? But that was only one incident, because back in 2010, Chrissy was in legal trouble again, this time for helping a friend named Susan Brock hide evidence by deleting emails that linked her to the SA of a 14-year-old, meaning that Chrissy actively helped cover for a predator. She ended up serving probation, but the whole situation is deeply, deeply disturbing, and there are a lot more details if you want to look into it. But the bottom line is that Chrissy enables monsters, which makes her one too. Sorry, not sorry. And you have to remember, this was all happening in the very early stages of Origami Owl. And then fast forward to today, the same woman who left her child in a hot car and who tried to help protect a child predator is now a wealthy CEO. And like I said earlier, not just any CEO, but a CEO of a company that built its success on children running around selling jewelry as part of what was essentially a pyramid scheme. So tell me how that's supposed to add up. And as for Bella and Chrissy, they do what they always do, sweep it under the rug and carry on like nothing ever happened. Not that what her mother did is Bella's fault, but putting her in charge of such key roles of a multi-million-dollar business was definitely a choice that she continued making well into adulthood, and a choice that still haunts her today, because as much as they try to sweep it under the rug, people don't let them forget about it. But as Bella was building her MLM empire, she met Della. The two started out as friends, but by the end of 2016, they were engaged and just a few months later, married in a Mormon temple in Arizona. Because yes, they're both Mormon. In those early years of marriage, they grew their YouTube channel through couple-style content, the usual vlogs, challenges, prank videos. But what really started to fuel their rise to YouTube-level fame were those viral prank videos that were going around years ago.
Della! There's a huge bug. Babe, there's a huge bug. Huge bug. Will you get it, please? There's a huge bug. Please. Oh, Della, please get the bug.
Get out of here.
There's no bug. I got you.
But they did later admit that those were all completely staged. Shocking, I know. But another big boost came when Della appeared in a Mr. Beast video and not only participated, but actually won the challenge, taking home $500,000.
You won $500,000.
No, what's crazy is
and everyone
that-
thinks it's fake. We just made a fun video buying the chocolate, thinking like, this is fun. Like, I want to win like a jet ski or a Tesla.
But you did buy a lot of chocolate. How much did you buy?
Unreal.
We bought a lot of it.
Like $300 worth. Or,
yeah.
I don't even
It was
remember.
probably like $400 or $500 maybe.
Okay.
Let's just say we still have a lot of people.
But that paid off.
It paid off.
It did. It was
Bro.
investment.
Not that he exactly needed it, considering who his wife is, but he did say that he planned to use the money to help others, which all sounds great, but it's kind of a gray area as to whether or not that actually happened or not. But one thing that was for certain was that Bella and Dallin loved the influencer lifestyle. In one way or another, they were going to make it work. Even though, obviously, they didn't need to. This was never about money, so what was it about then? Attention, fame, validation? But at one point, there was some drama because even their own, quote, best friends started to turn against them. Bella and Dallin had a bunch of influencer friends, and one of their closest ones were JD Vlogs. And I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about JD Vlogs, but the fact that they use their kids for content tells me everything I need to know. But for a long time though, Bella and Dallin were practically attached at the hip with them, filming video after video together. Apparently, Bella first met Katie back when she only had 2,000 subscribers, while at that time, Katie had 700,000 subscribers. So yeah, there was a huge difference in the audience size, and it's fair to say that JD Vlogs definitely helped boost Bella and Dallin's vlogs. But over time, apparently the dynamic started to change, and people were quick to notice that the videos and posts that used to be practically a weekly thing became less and less. So much so that JD actually addressed the drama on their channel.
Alright. What happened with you guys and Della? If you can't answer, I understand that. And then another question asked, how do you deal with losing friends? Interesting. What happened with us is basically we want to hang out with people, genuine friends that like love us. And
I think
that is.
No. I just think I feel like I don't know. I just don't want. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't want to have to do something for my friends every time I hang out with them for their social media following gain and success. Every single time. If you're hanging out with me at 9 p.m. at night, I don't want to have to film a video with you because you're begging me to do it. Anyways, with that being said,
I don't want to have to. No, I'd say it's going for. I don't want to ever have to second guess a friendship as if they're only friends with us for certain reasons.
It's not even second guessing. It's very obvious at this point.
Anyways, moving forward, Joshua.
Forward.
Anyway. I want to almost be just I don't even want to hear their name.
Will there be a JD?
It doesn't seem like Bella or Dallin ever addressed the drama, so it's hard to say who was right in this situation since they never spoke their side of the story. But as the whole couple's prank trend started to kind of die down on YouTube, Bella and Dallin had to sort of pivot because obviously they weren't going to be giving up the whole influencer lifestyle anytime soon. Bella opened up publicly about her fertility struggles, and as it often happens in the influencer world, that journey became a major part of their content. And I can absolutely see how that kind of content could be helpful to others going through the same struggles. So I'm not knocking her for sharing it, and had it stopped there, had she only shared about her infertility journey and left it at that, well, I wouldn't be here making this video about them today, that's for sure. Because sharing about infertility, it's not a bad thing. Like I said, I'm sure it did help a lot of people going through the same thing. I have no doubt that it made a lot of other couples who followed their journey feel a lot less alone in their own situation. But all of this was happening during a time when nearly all of their influencer friends were getting pregnant, having babies, and of course, turning that into content. And to be clear, I'm not talking about Bella sharing her infertility journey. She later said that she did privately struggle with that for 2 years leading up to sharing about it, so I'm not talking about that. But still, it's hard to ignore the timing. Everyone in their circle was posting baby announcements and family vlogs, while Bella and Dallin were stuck making scripted prank videos. So while I don't doubt that they genuinely wanted to become parents, it's easy to imagine how seeing everyone else profit off that stage of their life might have added some pressure to Bella and Dallin. But anyway, they decided to document it all. The multiple IVF attempts, even traveling all the way to the Middle East for a specialized infertility surgery. They were doing everything they could to get pregnant, but nothing seemed to be working, and that had to be tough. Having all the money in the world, seemingly appearing healthy, and yet nothing was working. No one had had any real answers for them. So naturally, during this time, they were opening up so much to their followers that people started asking a question that most would consider pretty understandable if they had ever thought about adoption.
I don't like giving up. And it felt like giving up. In the infertility world, you kind of have like steps. It's like, we're going to do this procedure and then this one and then this one. And if this one fails, we're going to do this one. And adoption's the last thing. And so it kind of hit me like, oh my gosh, we failed at everything. This is our last option. We ended up talking to like some close friends of ours, and they just kind of helped us understand that like, it's not giving up.
They had adopted a baby.
It's not giving up. It's just, could be a shift in plans.
Then, in the spring of 2023, Bella released a song called Missing Pieces, because yes, Bella is also a singer sometimes. But in the caption of the video, she teased that they had a really big announcement coming that following Monday. In the way that the song and the video are framed, it heavily hinted that Bella and Della were finally going to become parents. So naturally, everyone assumed that the next upload would be a pregnancy announcement. But it wasn't that. It was an adoption announcement. Except not in the way that you might think. Because it wasn't that they had even been approved to adopt or matched with the child. Not even close. In fact, at the end of the video, get this, they actually asked their followers, their millions of followers, to reach out if they knew anyone looking to place a baby for adoption. And I don't know about you, but that feels off, like legally questionable levels of off. Something about using your massive platform to basically crowdsource a baby, it just doesn't feel right. Because let's be honest, that's not how adoption is supposed to work. Most families wait months, sometimes years to even be considered. But when you've got the influence, the connections, and a subscriber count of over 1 million people, apparently you can just skip the line. And then proceeded the way that they made content out of the process. It was so dramatic. The music, the emotional reveal, Bella holding up a baby onesie, like the story had already begun. It gave the impression that everything was set in motion, like the baby was coming at any point. But like I said, that wasn't even close to what was actually going on. They hadn't even begun to work with an adoption agency. Nothing was official, no paperwork, no approval, nothing. They were just announcing that they decided to start the process and still managed to make a full-blown video out of it that raked in almost 2 million views. Because why wait until it's real, until it's actually happening, when you can turn it into a storyline now? After all, it's a content goldmine and they knew it. Naturally, one of the biggest questions that influencers who are going to be becoming parents get asked is whether or not they're going to show their child on their channel or on any of their social media platforms. Because we all know that influencers shouldn't, but most of them cannot help themselves. So long before baby was even in the picture, Bella and Dalla did what most influencer couples do. They turn the question into content, because of course they did. And their answer to this question is pretty interesting, especially given how things are today on their channel.
Without a doubt. And that's the next question. And a lot of people are wondering, like, how much are we going to share of the baby and this process?
I want to talk about that because I'm already feeling like a mama bear. Like, I am like so protective of my baby that I don't have yet. To me, I feel like the baby's adoption story is something that's like sacred and personal and private. And I really don't know how many details we're going to even share.
We probably won't share a lot.
I don't think we're going to share like any details.
Like,
really.
We're not going to share where the baby came from, anything about the birth mother. Like, that stuff is just very private. It does not need to be out on the internet.
And I just don't want my baby to like watch these videos back in the future and like be like, wow, my parents like shared all of my details of like my birth and like my life, like where I came from with the whole internet.
The way that we see it is we're going to be documenting our experiences and what Bella and I go through and what we feel and have, because we're able to regulate all of that. It's going to be about us. Because
us becoming parents, we're just very protective of the baby. Like, there's days where I'm like, do I even want to put their face on the internet? I don't know. Like, I just think we'll cross that road when we get to it. I'm full mama bear right now. I'm just very particular about what we're going to post about the baby, and I want to make sure we do it in the right way that's appropriate, and we want to keep our baby safe. So, but anyway, we're grateful that you are excited and interested to know about our baby.
We'll definitely keep you guys all updated.
We're gonna keep you, you're gonna know.
You're gonna know
it's
everything.
Just really like details about like what we're gonna share. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but we shall see.
So keep that in mind what Bella said, because we're going to circle back to it in a few minutes. And don't worry, there will be a refresher on what she said and whether or not those mama bear instincts kicked in or not. But things moved fast because just a few uploads after the big "we've decided to adopt" announcement, a new video dropped with a thumbnail that said, "Twin gender reveal plus matching with an expecting mom plus bad news." And yeah, you might be able to see where this is all going or where this all went. Apparently, one of their followers had seen the video where Bella and Dallin asked if anyone knew of a mother looking to place a baby for adoption. And as of luck or fate would have it, that follower just happened to be pregnant with twins. So she reached out wanting to meet with them and possibly place her babies with Bella and Dallin once they were born. And from that very first phone call, the cameras were rolling. They documented everything: the DMs, the phone calls, the emotions, the tears, every single step of what they believe was the start of their adoption journey. After years of trying, years of heartbreak, it finally looked like their dream was coming true. To them, that was it. 2 babies, a happy ending. And honestly, from the outside looking in, it seemed too good to be true, because it was. Now, I do think it's fair to say that at that point, they were desperate. They wanted to believe something so badly that I can see maybe in a moment of desperation, ignoring a lot of red flags. And let's be real, the content potential out of that whole situation, good or bad, I'm sure that didn't exactly discourage them from posting about it either. So they did this twin gender reveal video, apparently because the woman who was pregnant told them that they should. But I think we all know that either way, they were probably going to do that. We all know that it's very typical, as you know, that family vloggers milk pregnancy content like no other, and the gender reveal videos are a guaranteed high performing video. So we see all that in this video, but towards the end, things take a turn for the worse. What followed was a long, drawn-out 4-part series on their channel, documenting how the entire adoption turned out to be a scam. Someone had reached out to them, warning them that the same woman had done this to multiple other couples. And when the truth finally came out, she wasn't even pregnant.
The past 2 months, we believed that we were going to be adopting identical twin girls. We were so excited. We got everything prepared. We got our nursery ready. We have 2 car seats. And we just come to find out that it was all a big scam. And this woman was not only scamming us, but she was scamming multiple other families. This woman was never even pregnant.
It was despicable and honestly heartbreaking, because as much as I want to criticize Bella and Dallin for a lot of their choices, what happened here was wrong, deeply wrong. To give people who are struggling with infertility, who want nothing more than to become parents, and then rip that away, that's cruel on a whole other level that's hard to even process. And here's the thing, this woman, she didn't even ask them for money. There was no clear motive on why she did what she did. It was just manipulation for the sake of it. And keep in mind, this woman did this to multiple other couples who didn't get to share or monetize their story. But I'll be honest with you, I remember when this was all coming out and I genuinely did feel really bad for them. I just don't think anybody deserves to have to go through that. Red flags or not, whether you're an influencer or not, it's horrible. It was just an awful situation. Here's where things start to blur the lines again, because instead of processing it privately, like I said, they turned it into a 4-part series. And it ended with them donating all of the twins' nursery items to a friend in need, which on its own is a pretty nice thing to do. But when you film it, edit it, title it, and monetize it, does that good deed still hold the same weight?
Good idea to donate the stuff to her if she already has the stuff. So we want to donate like all of our stuff to her. So
Oh my gosh.
I want to know,
You have no idea what a blessing that would be.
do you think
Really,
that she
truly.
could use it?
Oh my gosh, Val.
Because at a certain point, when every act of grief, generosity, or heartbreak becomes content, what's really left that's authentic? With Bella and Dallin, I think that's a pretty fair question. But again, things move fast with them. Honestly, concerningly fast. Because right after their "we're donating the baby supplies" video, like literally the very next upload, they were suddenly on a baby moon. Why? Because they were adopting a new baby. And it wasn't like, oh, maybe they took 6 months off to regroup and heal. No, they posted the donation video and then 4 days later, they had a video announcing that they were adopting again. Then the next video, you guessed it, it was them picking up the baby. And that whole video was very wild. And I get it, adoption, the world of adoption, things can move very quickly, but this just felt very very fast. Because think about it, people who want to adopt, especially a newborn baby, they usually wait months, if not years, before they're ever even matched. But Bella and Dallin, they go from heartbreak to holding a perfectly healthy newborn within a matter of weeks. And people noticed. And it wasn't just viewers who thought it was strange. When they told their families the news, both Bella's mom and dad on separate phone calls had the same exact reaction.
Where did you find her?
Isn't she so cute?
Yeah.
Are you ready to be a grandfather?
Where did you get that?
Like, what do you mean, where did you find that baby? They're acting like this is a stray cat that she found on the side of the road. And I'm not going to go too deep down that rabbit hole. I thought about it. I could. But ultimately, S's mom did choose Bella and Dallin. How that all came to be, what seemed to be a very quick turnaround, the details, that's just not my story to tell. And honestly, the fact that it's even up for discussion, that one is on Bella and Dallin. Because if they had just made a simple announcement like, we're so happy to share that we've become parents through adoption for the privacy of our daughter and her birth mother, that's all we're going to be sharing, I don't think anybody would question that. But of course, that's not what they did, because say it with me now,
content.
Everything is for content with this couple. And in fact, from what I've read, with the information that they did put out about the adoption process, some people were able to figure out who the birth mom is and were leaking her name, which is a super gross, horrible thing to do. Honestly, I'm sure that was traumatic on the birth mother, which is just one of the many reasons that Bella and Dallin should have just kept this whole journey private. Anyway, their daughter has become the centerpiece of their content. Honestly, she is their brand at this point. And this is something that we've seen time and time again with family bloggers. You could name almost any family channel, and even if there's multiple kids, it's usually that first child who brings in the most views, the ones who audience connect with the most, and the one that the channel becomes known for. S is front and center for Bella and Dallin's social media presence. Bella even has an Instagram account for S that's linked right in her bio alongside the word adoption. Because with Bella and Dallin, everything, and I mean everything, is branded. And since the very first time they introduced their daughter on their channel, S has appeared in nearly every single video thumbnail, all but 6 to be exact. And even then, that doesn't necessarily mean she wasn't in those videos. It just means she wasn't a part of the thumbnail. And for a couple who once said they weren't sure how much, if at all, they'd share about their future child online, this is quite the contrast. And Bella didn't exactly help her case against the whole having a baby for content allegations that people were accusing her of, because almost immediately it felt like the baby became more of a prop for Instagram and for YouTube than anything else. But they continued sharing deeply personal details about the adoption and even about the baby herself, things that no one in the general public ever really needs to know. And one of the biggest pieces of criticism aimed at Della vlogs is their constant traveling with S. And I'm not talking the occasional family vacation, even going to the beach or to the lake for the weekend. I'm talking international travel on a regular basis. More often than not, this baby is out of the country. Again, this is happening so much so that people are starting to wonder if that's Bella and Dallin's new direction they want to go, becoming a family vlogger travel channel. They've even titled some videos things like Lambert World Tour, because yes, like I said, they are seemingly traveling the world. And that alone wouldn't necessarily be a problem. The issue is how they're doing it. They're bringing their very young daughter, who isn't even 3 yet, along for all of it. She's been traveling internationally since she was a baby. And look, this might be one of those parts of the video where people have differing opinions, but the main point that people bring up with this whole situation is, how can a child have any sense of stability or routine when she's rarely ever home? All because mom and dad want to pivot into their next influencer phase as travel bloggers. And it's not just that S is constantly on the move, it's the way she's used as a prop throughout these trips. For example, in their South Korea videos, Bella and Dallin were filming everything, walking around with the camera always on, which naturally drew attention.
Is really the main attraction here. Every single person that walks by here just can't get enough of it.
Crowds of people would come up to S saying hi, touching her, just excited to see a baby. And at one point, Dallin even said, "Everyone loves S." And sure, those people seemed kind and well-intentioned. But imagine being a toddler in a foreign country surrounded by strangers, cameras rolling, people constantly approaching you. I feel like that would be really overwhelming for anyone, but especially a toddler. I mean, stranger danger is a thing, right? And you can even see S trying to hide behind Bella and cling to her, clear signs of her being uncomfortable or nervous. Yet Bella and Dallin don't seem to notice, or worse, they do notice and keep filming anyway. At one point, two very kind women stopped to put socks on S because Bella and Dallin had her outside without any shoes or socks on, which is something they do often during their travel. But in Korean culture, it's customary to keep babies' feet covered so that they don't catch a cold. And of course, that moment was filmed and uploaded too. It's one thing to bring your child along on a trip, but influencers always seem to take it a step further, turning their child's every experience, every moment of discomfort into content. But Bella didn't stop at just posting S online, on YouTube, on Instagram, all the things, because this past summer she found herself in very deep water after a brand collaboration went south very, very fast. Basically, Bella announced that she was doing a collab with a fitness influencer named Heidi Summers Guzman, probably saying that wrong, but she's better known as Buff Bunny. Heidi owns an active brand called Buff Bunny Collection, and Bella was set to launch what she called the S Collection, named after her daughter. Now, you might think that with that kind of name, this was going to be toddler clothes, kid clothes, baby clothes, but that's not what it was. It was just women's activewear. But here's where people were starting to ask questions, because according to Bella, this collection had been in the works for over 2 years, which doesn't really add up. She didn't even have her daughter yet, or knew that she would become a mother when that collaboration supposedly began. And as one Redditor put it, how is it over 2 years if S didn't even come into their lives until July of 2023? This just proves all they ever wanted was a prop doll to use for content. They paid enough to skip the wait and get their dream demographic, and it wasn't even a thought that it wouldn't happen quickly because of their money. Gross. But regardless of the exact timeline, the collection didn't go as planned. Almost immediately after it was announced, people started calling out Buff Bunny for partnering with someone who not only profits off her child's image, but whose mother, heavily involved in her business, has a deeply concerning criminal record. To make matters worse, Chrissy, Bella's mom, was present and involved at the collection's launch party. So this wasn't just some behind-the-scenes mother/grandmother helping out. She was very actively at that point involved in Bella's business life as well. So soon after, Heidi did drop Bella from the collaboration, but that came after thousands of people were calling Heidi out, and she for a while was putting her foot down, but then she finally gave in and ended up dropping Bella. It's an interesting time that we're in, because a few years ago, Bella might have been able to get away with working with the collab. People might not have said anything. But it's 2025, and luckily more and more people are waking up to what these family vloggers are doing, how they're using their children. And so that she was getting called out for that is a good thing, because it means that changes are happening. People are waking up to it, like I said. But I think either way, people weren't going to be happy because of Chrissy's involvement in Bella's business life. But since then, Bella has unfollowed her mother on Instagram. She hasn't mentioned her publicly, and Chrissy has seemingly vanished from Bella's online presence. Many believe that Bella is mad that her mother's past played a major role in the collapse of a collaboration that she'd been working on for years. But either way, that dropped collaboration, it didn't really seem to affect Bella's bottom line or her content. Much like the JD fallout, she didn't address the drama or answer questions. She just went back to posting regular content as usual. And I can already hear it before this video even goes out, before I'm even done filming this video, because I've seen comments like this before about Bella and Dallin. They're the exception. It's okay that they post their child everywhere online. They're just excited to be parents. People are only criticizing them because they're jealous. But here's the thing. Here's why I don't agree with those type of comments. Look, I will never support people being cruel about someone's appearance or just things that are beyond a person's control, but I can stand behind criticism that calls out the exploitation of their daughter, because we all know the risks, and those risks are not worth it.
More information on why you should not post pictures of your children, coming from somebody who worked in child exploitation. A lot of photos of children that are put on the dark web are not explicit. In my experience, I saw a lot of children who did activities such as gymnastics and dance, and there were a lot of photos being posted of them in their leotards and outfits. These parents often had no idea that their child was on the dark web. Additionally, just normal photos of children can be warped into images that are explicit, even though there was never an explicit photo being taken. Lastly, and probably most disturbingly, there will be children who go viral on the dark web, and there's no reason for this, it just happens, and there will be pages and websites and forums dedicated to just sending pictures of this child.
If you're a mom, please listen to this. Give me 60 seconds. I promise this is so important for moms to know. With the advance in technology with things like AI, it is more important than ever to stop showing your children's face online. I know your child is funny and gorgeous and beautiful and you want to share them with the world, but in the day and age that we live, it is not safe to do so. If you knew the disgusting things that these predators do with a single photo of your child's face, a single photo. With AI, the things that they can make your child do, the videos they can make that look identical to your child, and the disgusting images that are populated from one single photo. There are dolls being sold on the black market that are in the image and likeness of children, popular children online who have social media followings, who are showed by their parents. All they need is one photo. All they need is one photo of your child's face and they can make a doll in their image and likeness. How would you feel knowing that there was some sicko doing disgusting things to a doll that was made in the image and likeness of your child? And it's not even illegal. You don't believe me? Look it up. There are articles about it all over online. There are mothers who have gone through this. You want to post your child online, do it on a private account. Families and friends, something that you have to request to follow. And if you want to post on a public account, it literally takes 5 seconds to cover your child's face. Take videos and photos and angles where it does not show your child's face, where they are clothed, where they are not in vulnerable position. It's simple as putting an emoji over your child's face. Like, people make fun of it, but literally protect your kids.
Absolutely sickening. I like to add in those little type of clips to get experts in my video basically to prove my point that much further, that it is not worth the risk, especially in the case of Bella and Dallin, two people with more than enough money and resources. Their livelihood doesn't depend on sharing S online. Not that even that would be a proper excuse, but them continuing to do so despite knowing the potential harm says a lot. And it's not just the darker side of the internet that their daughter is being exposed to, it's the fact that her entire adoption story has been made so public. Remember, her birth mother has already been doxxed. We know far too many personal details about this adoption, details that never should have been made public in the first place. Adoption is a beautiful thing, but the story of it, the journey of it, a lot of those details, in my opinion, all of that belongs to the adoptee. It should be their choice one day to decide what, if anything, they want to share with the world. But with Bella and Dallin, it feels like that choice has already been taken away from S. It's hard not to see how they've managed to turn S into content and continue to do so. I'm not saying that they don't love her or care about her, but it's clear that they care more about the money and the attention that come along with sharing her. And I know that's going to be a tough pill for some to swallow because they have a lot of loyal fans who probably won't make it all the way to this point in the video. But a lot of their loyal fans don't see anything wrong with what they're doing because Bella and Dallin are nice and they're just so excited. But what they're doing is wrong and it's completely unnecessary. Everyone thinks that their child is the cutest kid in the world, and that's fine. You're supposed to feel that way. But what's not fine is using that as an excuse to post every private moment of their life online under the guise of being excited to be a parent. And what gets me is Bella knows. She knows. Otherwise, when asked about whether or not she will be sharing any future children online, she said she wasn't sure and was already feeling protective, feeling like she was in mama bear mode.
Because I'm already feeling like a mama bear. Like, I am like so protective of my baby that I don't have yet. To me, I feel like the baby's adoption story is something that's like sacred and personal and private. And I really don't know how many details we're gonna even share.
We probably won't share a lot.
I don't think we're gonna share like any details.
Like, we're not gonna share where the baby came from, anything about the birth mother. Like, that stuff is just very private. It does not need to be out on the internet.
And I just don't want my baby to like watch these videos back in the future and like be like, wow, my parents like shared all of my details of like my birth and like my life, like where I came from with the whole internet.
The way that we see it is we're going to be documenting our experiences and what Bella and I go through and what we feel and have, because we're able to regulate all of that. It's going to be about us. Because
us becoming parents, we're just very protective of the baby. Like, there's days where I'm like, do I even want to put their face on the internet? I don't know. Like, I just think we'll cross that road when we get to it. I'm full mama bear right now. I'm just very particular about what we're going to post about the baby, and I want to make sure we do it in the right way that's appropriate, and we want to keep our baby safe. So, but anyway, we're grateful that you are excited and interested to know about our baby.
We'll definitely keep you guys all
We're gonna
updated.
keep you. You're gonna know.
You're
but
gonna
like,
know
it's just
everything.
really like details about like what we're gonna share. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But
My question to Bella is what happened to going into mama bear mode? You know what you're doing is wrong. You know the dangers, yet you keep doing it anyway. You are putting your daughter at risk in more ways than one, all for the sake of content, for the hope of a viral moment. You are willing to take her story and turn it into personal gain. You have all the money in the world and then some. Why put your daughter through this? Why put her in danger? You might think that you're being safe, that you're doing everything in your power to protect her, and that you would never do anything to harm her, but you are. The statistics don't lie. The experiences of former family vlogger children don't lie. This is objectively wrong, and if you and Dallin aren't enough on your own to sustain your channel, maybe it's time to step away and find a new venture, one that doesn't exploit your child in the process. Because I can promise you this, S is not going to remember traveling the world with you, but she will remember how you chose money over giving her a private childhood, a childhood where she wasn't treated like a prop, and where she would have the chance to share her story with the world on her own terms, if and when she chooses. But I think that's going to be it for today's video. What did you think about all of this? Do you think that excitement is an excuse to exploit your child? Heck, is it even an excuse? Or is it just something that influencers say to make what they're actually doing not look so bad? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know who you think I should look into next, who I should cover next. As always, thank you for being here. If you made it this far, please give it a thumbs up. Please make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video.